All right, in this video, we're going to take a look at how we can use spreadsheets to create motion profiles for our cams for vertical displacement, and then change that information into the shape of the cam using a radar graph. So here we are. This is a copy of what you're going to have, or if you don't have the copy, it's really easy to create. Just plug in these degrees, your titles, the dimensions that you want for your maximum and minimum, and then you insert a graph that plots the angles of degrees as well as the actual inches in displacement. Okay, so this is already set up for you. If you're in my class, you decide what is your minimum displacement probably going to be. Now we know that what we're working on in class, we have a 1/4 inch square axle. So really our minimum should not be any smaller than probably 3/8 of an inch, 0.375 inches. And probably most of yours are going to be somewhere around there, 5.5 inches. Okay, so for this one, just cam one right here, which is represented right here. I have one that has a minimum displacement of 1.25. And then I was thinking of whatever motion that this might be, that it's going to be something that kind of gradually goes up, drops off a little bit quick, then comes back to resting here again. Now what's nice here is you can replace any of these numbers with what you need, right? So if I want this to be just 1, okay, notice how my graph changes. If I want it to bounce around a little bit, let me change that. Okay, so this motion profile has something bouncing up and down in not exactly a regular or symmetrical pattern twice with 1 full rotation of my cam. Okay, now what does that look like for a cam shape? Because this is just the motion profile of the vertical displacement of the follower. So I can copy then these numbers right here, select them, Control C, head over to cam shape, and paste them in the same spot. Now when we get over here, notice we're going to actually omit just this last one, right? That's because 0 degrees and 360 degrees are the exact same spot. And so we're going to go ahead and just leave that off. Oops. And then that will be represented in our cam. So here's our cam, right? So here's the motion profile, bump, bump. And this is the cam. If it were spinning in the circle and it was turning around and around and around, it would hit a bump and a bump right over there, okay? So again, if you need to make adjustments to your motion profile, to your cam shape, it's as easy as just typing in different numbers. Once you have your cam profile right here, we're going to take a screenshot. So I'm going to go ahead and use my snipping tool. Windows Shift S will also allow you to do this. And just grab a nice little shot of that right there. From here, we need to save. And we'll just call this motion 1. You call it whatever you want. We also want to make sure we save these as JPEG. Sometimes those come in better than a PNG, which is my default right there. I've saved it to my desktop, downloads, wherever it is that you need to save it. Now I'm in Fusion 360. Okay, so I've decided the motion that I want. I've used my spreadsheet and charts to make a cam profile for me using the radar chart. And now I'm going to import that in here and sketch over top of it. So here I am, insert canvas. If you don't see that image there, you can just hit insert until you find canvas. Insert from computer. And we're going to find the one that we just had. Mine was this one here, motion 1. Open. You have to decide where you want it. Just go with the front. That makes the most sense. Now you notice that it comes in pretty tiny, right? If I zoom out a little bit, I can see my tick marks. Here's 2 inches. When I was back at my spreadsheet, I know that I had a maximum. Here's 2.5 inches right here. Okay, so I want this point to be 2.5, or honestly, if I can just find a vertical alignment, if this dot is at 1 and lined up with 1 in Fusion 360, then my scale is right. So now we got to scale this. So here's 1, and obviously I need to drag this out. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag out to the corner. Notice that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're scaling it out. I have to do it again. There we go. Okay, so If your numbers are all backwards, you can flip it horizontally. And so here's 1, there's 1. I want to make sure that my center is actually on the center of the origin, which it isn't. Okay, so now I got my center lined up with the origin right here. And now my 1 is right there. And I need to bring it down just a little bit. Okay, so there's the line for 1 inch. Okay, and that means that this is 2.5 inches. My center is on. And so now I can just hit OK. So now I've got an image to sketch over. So I do create a sketch. I'm going to pick the same front side that I had before. And depending on how rigid that you need your movement to be or smooth, you might pick straight lines for very rigid movement changes. You'll probably pick a fit point spline, and you might even choose to do a series of different arcs to get exactly what you need if it's very symmetrical lining. So I'm going to use fit point spline. That's the best one for what I'm doing. And I can zoom in on this and be nice and precise. As precise as I can. What's also nice about the fit point spline, you'll notice that as we do it, it makes adjustments for itself. And then when we make sure that we reconnect it, we've got a shaded area for our profile. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter or escape. And now you can see all these green lines. So you can see where I'm a little bit off. You can click, hold, and drag these little green ones to help adjust the actual shape of your cam to get it as close as possible to what it is that you actually want to have happen, right? And you might not be able to get it to be precisely exactly what you want, but you should be able to modify it to get it pretty darn close. Okay, a little bit more sharpness there. And I'm not going to go for perfection here because I just want to show you the next part of this. Okay, so now this looks a little bit confusing because we've got the image, we've got our sketch. While we're still in sketch, let's go ahead and put in our axle. I can see that it's off just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about it too much at the moment. That would just be me spending more time zooming in and making sure I was precise when I had done this to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and add my 2-point rectangle. I'm going to change it to a center rectangle so that I can put right on center of where this is supposed to be. Okay, I click once, I drag it out. We got a 1/4 inch axle. So I'm going to do 0.25. I'm going to hit tab and do 0.25 again. Now, what you might find if you're going to be 3D printing something from this, you might find that something more like a 0.26 is going to be a little bit better because that'll allow your cam to slide over the square axle just a little bit more easily, all right, because they won't all be the same. And then you'll end up securing them later with glue or something like that. So I'm going to do 0.26 on mine. Give myself a little bit of clearance. If you know that this is the one you want to print, this is also a great time to say, you know what, I'm going to get rid of some of this material. I really don't need this much material, and just dropping some circles in here and there in such a way where you're gonna be spending less time and material making this thing. That looks fine. You hit finish sketch, extrude. Let's do a 1/4 inch. That's pretty typical. And then I can also hide my canvas. Okay, now there's my cam. Okay, now how do I print this? I go into my bodies. First of all, you're gonna have to save it. So let's call this, I'm just gonna call mine cam 1. If yours is for a specific thing, like a fluttering pig wing, type of pig wing, whatever it is that you're making. You should have already created a project folder for this. If not, you can always move things to that, and that way you can kind of keep everything together for your project. I'm going to go ahead and make one real quick. New folder, automata. Right. Enter, pick automata. There we go. Save. There we go. So now it's saved. Now then I see my body over here. It's always good to start with a component. I'm going to go ahead and create a component. And now I'm going to right click, save as mesh. Okay, so right click, save as mesh. Hit OK. Make sure this says 3MF. Save it as whatever it's supposed to be to wherever you need it to be. Open up Flash Print. Make sure you're on your machine that you're going to be printing with. File, load, find your file. Nope, that's fish. Where is he? Where's my pig? There it is, pig wing. Okay. There it is. You might need to rotate it so that it's kind of flat. Slice it up. Make sure it's on PLA. You probably do not need a raft. Okay, so no on raft. Infill, you can do 10%. That'll be just fine. Slice. Download it to a thumb drive. Plug it into the printer, and you're good to go. Okay, repeat that process for whatever other cams that you need to make.